Hey, what's up? I'm back. It's been over 2 years since I last created my video, and I thought it was time to get back into this and start sharing some stuff that I've been thinking about, and hopefully that's interesting to you and informative and inspiring, and you can use it. You can use it for yourself to do whatever the hell you want to do. Now, in this video, I want to talk about the nature of the beast and fighting that nature. And I'm talking about the nature of the beast when it comes to this beast that we are, but I'm also talking about the nature of the beast that you are, your personal nature. Now, I think there's a pattern to be found within us where you could say there's a few natures that really are prevalent within our society or within our species, but that's not really relevant. What's going on is that there's a nature within you as a human being, and there's a nature within you as who you are. And I want to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about who you are, but I'm going to talk about who I am. Because my nature is something that I'm getting more and more aligned with, and that I'm learning to accept better and better. And this has very much to do with my absence for the last 2 years and why I decided to kind of come back and make some videos. Now, for those of you that have seen my previous videos, what happened to me was that in 2019 I reached a peak insight momentum. I reached a level of thinking and seeing that was new to me, that was blowing me away, and that really gave me the feeling that I achieved something, that I reached a point that I'd always been looking for. It was my form of enlightenment. I was seeing clearly, I was seeing through everything. And mainly that's meaning that I was seeing through myself, because I'm just interpreting the world through myself, and to understand anything is to understand yourself for that part. So I was feeling really good, and I was pumping out videos, showing everybody how the world worked and how smart I was, and I was feeling great about it. However, as time progressed and I kind of realized I was changing, or even had changed, a new challenge arose, because I had been searching for this point of being or seeing for my whole life. I had been searching for that for more than 20, 30 years, right? And now, having found it, it confused the hell out of me. I didn't know what it would do for me. I never expected to achieve it in the first place. And not only that, I also learned that it wasn't really an achievement. It was just a narrative. It was a narrative that helped me relax, and that relaxation helped me see and trust and accept in a way that I hadn't done before. Instead of fighting against what was going on, I was aligning with it. And by aligning with it, things were so much more clear. And what was clear was that I hadn't moved at all in all those years. What I had been fighting was myself. What I had been trying to understand was myself. And it was great to get to a point where I could do that. But it also wasn't the end of something, it was the start of something. And I was surprised to find that a lot of my habits changed. A lot of my ways of dealing with the world changed, and not necessarily in a way that I expected them to do, or in a way that I thought was great. I think to reach that point after so many years, it was quite disappointing when I did reach it, because a big part of my drive fell away, and not because I wanted it to fall away, but because it was so futile. It seemed so futile. It seemed so ridiculous. It seemed so useless to return to the same insight over and over again. And the rush I got from those insights, they disappeared. Things that were special to realize became normal to realize. And the more normal they became, the less of a rush they gave. And I didn't even see the things that I saw anymore. Meaning, noticing something that you hadn't noticed before the first time is noticeable, but the more you notice it, the less you notice that you do, if you get what I'm saying. Things that you figure out, insights that you reach, they become normal. They become not an insight, but just the way the world works. And as I had achieved for myself the ultimate position of answering all the big questions I ever had, and seeing through all of them, and not necessarily answering the question, but more seeing through the question and answer mechanism, which meant all efforts were really getting me nowhere and leading to nothing. I had to start reevaluating what I was doing. And I was not in a talkative mood for a long time after that. There was no point in talking about those things anymore. And there was not a feeling in me that I had something to share that was worth anything. Now when I talked to people one-on-one or got into a position where people found out about what I was talking about, they were all interested and telling me it was very useful and I should do something with it. But for me, the propulsion was gone. And what I ended up doing was, first of all, seeing my old movies, especially the latest ones, and not feeling too good about them, meaning I saw this arrogance within me. And I understood the arrogance because I worked hard for that arrogance and I achieved something that was very special. But I didn't like the podium I was trying to gain through that, or the position, right? It was too much of a pretension, too much of a look at me, I know. When what I really felt inside is that the more I knew, the more I became quiet and the more I became just not so boastful, because what I knew is that there was really nothing to know, and whatever I thought I knew was just the story I was telling myself. And so I took a break. I took a break from pretty much everything, from thinking, from the intellect. And I started doing things. I started reading again. I started meeting friends and talking to people more about what they were doing, and trying to use that as inspiration for me to do something. I got into life again. I started following the news. I started reading stuff about what was going on in the world. And to be honest, it was pretty disturbing. I mean, especially when COVID came around, the way the world dealt with that, it just made me see that a lot of the world is not thinking about the things that I'm thinking about, or agreeing with what I'm saying. So it was difficult to realize that I had become somewhat of an outcast in the world. Even with my friends, when I talked to them, I realized I've distanced myself from normalcy. And it made me question what the point was. What was I going to do with that? What was my function for society if I took a step away from society and society took a step away from me? I dived into work because the abilities that you pick up by seeing clearly and understanding a lot of things allows you to operate in a far more relaxed way and in a far more insightful manner, and that was nice. But it also felt kind of meaningless in a way. And so what I ended up doing was diving into doing instead of thinking. And it was difficult, I have to tell you. I was expecting to be helped way more by what I knew or thought I knew, or the way I looked at things. And it was very confronting to realize that in doing so, I still had to learn so many things. I had to relearn so many things. I had been thinking so much for so long that doing was just a whole different game. And it was something you could lose yourself in, and you could feel emotion about it, and it was disappointing, and it was glorifying, and it was all of these things. I had success, I had failure, and it swept me off my feet. And I realized that the monk that comes up the mountain and lives in the city, he either stays a monk on the mountain and never engages, or he engages and he becomes just like everyone else, because that's what people do. They lose themselves in the things they engage in. And it's nice. but it's also difficult and it can be very sad. And so that's what I did. And as I was doing that and I was talking to other people and I was seeing what they were struggling with and the points I was struggling with, I got to a point where it started to itch after a while again. Because I know I can offer some insights that can be useful for people. And more importantly, there's this insight inside of me. Right? Because in my previous talking, I always talked about what it is to be a human. And I talked about that human is a friction-based animal that is always noticing that which isn't right and is always going to try to fix what isn't right. So you're always going to be focusing on what's not right. And you can't stop that. And the only way to go along with that is to allow that, to align with that. But that's a general thing, right? When it comes to me personally, when I engaged into activity, I realized that there was so much friction within me as well again. And I couldn't solve it on the general level. I had to solve it on the specific me level. I had to deal with myself. And I had to deal with the fact that there's a lot of propulsion within me. And propulsion is always out of necessity. It's because of the desire for glory or the prevention of trouble or the fear of failure, whatever, right? You're being driven by something that tells you that you could be more or different or that something could happen that isn't desirable. So you are proactive trying to fight whatever it is you fear. And that was very confronting because all of these years I had tried to figure out how life worked, and really what I had been doing was trying to get rid of that propulsion. And after 20, 30 years of thinking about that, I lost that propulsion on the thinking part. I understood. And now I engaged in the doing thing, and there it was again. Again, being caught by myself. Caught in the act. Not able to really change who I am, what I am. And having to relearn that, aligning and accepting, but then on the visceral level, on the physical thing, on the doing thing, where reality is giving you feedback in a way that is cruel and hard and real, and it's awesome because it doesn't leave room for discussion. It doesn't leave room for narrative, right? And I'm good at narrative. I'm really good at narrative. But narrative is just everything I say is just confirming the point I'm trying to make. And I already know what point I'm trying to make. And that's why I don't like preparing for a video. That's why I like improvising. Because if I prepare, then I start to, consciously construct this narrative. And I don't want to do that. It feels unfair. It feels dishonest. But when I improvise, I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm going to just spill over. And it feels more honest because I'm not in control, and I'm just going to tell you whatever I think, whatever pops up in my head, and I can't take responsibility for that. So it feels more open, because really understand that every line in the book is there to prove its thesis, right? Every author that writes anything is just trying to get you to see his point, and he will use every letter in that book to convince you, to justify, to validate, to win you over. Even when he tells you that maybe, there are other points to be made that he isn't making, or maybe there are other viewpoints that are interesting, but, he's not representing. Even that is done to convince you of its correctness. And it doesn't sit well with me. It's not me. I'm not the guy that will tell you how it is. I will tell you how it's not. I am someone who likes to destroy ideas to make room for new ones. New ones, but also nuance. And I'm driven by bullshit. I like to talk bullshit, and when people talk bullshit, it gets me going. And I like to, prick holes in stuff to see what's behind. And it doesn't make me into someone that I think is easy to listen to, and I'm not very good at making videos that are, well edited and where a point is made in a concise and direct manner. And I'm sorry, that's just not me. That's not what I have to offer. There's so many people on YouTube or wherever that have content that ticks all the boxes and could be very interesting to follow. You see, what I want to talk about is what is real, and what is real isn't control. It's no control. And it isn't knowing, it's not knowing. And I'm going to embrace that in my videos. I don't know, okay? The reason you think I know is because I really know I don't know, and that made me think about stuff for a long, long time. And now what comes out to you seems like I know. But to me, it's just the point of not knowing where I'm currently at. And if it's up to me, tomorrow I'll be even further along. So is that worth anything? Is it going to help you? I don't know. I think the problem is created within you, and so the solution is within you as well. In order for you to fix your problem, you don't need a solution. What you need is to salute, to dissolve the problem within you. You can't look to the external. There's nothing to know or no one else you need, or a thing that can solve or dissolve what is blocking you in the inside. You're the one doing it, so you're the one who's going to have to fix it. And all I can do is make you see that. And maybe, I don't know, give you a hint about how you would go about dissolving the problem within you. But then problems are all we have. My body has a problem. It needs air all the time. My whole life is just one big breathing exercise. And the moment I stop and I fail that exercise, I'm done. So, it's all necessity that drives us. And I think it's awesome if you accept it and play with it. But it's difficult. But it's meant to be difficult. If it was easy, it wouldn't be really anything at all. So it's got to be difficult. And we can help each other to see how we can deal with that. We can talk about our techniques and our strategy and our tactics and approach and all these things. And I'd like to do that. I'd like you to reply to me. I even think I should not be making videos like this, but maybe just stream so we can interact, because I like the interaction. Other people get me going. And this one-sided thing, it's not as easy for me. Anyway, just a short update to let you know I'm back, baby, and I'm going to be creating content, hopefully in a quantity you've never seen me do before, but also quality-wise in a way that feels right for me and offers something of value to you. If you have tips, tricks, ideas, let me know. I'm just glad to be back, and let's see what we can do with this one. Good luck. And thank you for your patience. Thank you for your follows. Thank you for your subscriptions, likes, whatever you've done. I am not worthy, and I appreciate it a lot. Talk to you soon.